This is the Comedy Kiosk, podcast by Mondae and Munoz. Please welcome Mondae and Munoz.
Hello, welcome to the Comedy Kiosk, a podcast in which we discuss news, opinions, facts, and ideas about comedy. I'm David Munoz.
And my name is Igor Mondae.
And today we will discuss, can you make money from comedy? And the different stages of a comedy career. So, at what stage are you at, Igor?
Well, that's actually a good question because people ask me a lot when they see me at the club, on stage, or behind the curtains, running the show and stuff. And they see me as a comedian mostly, not as an organizer, promoter, or something like this. But they do ask me, like, is this your job?
Yeah.
Is this what you do? And it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, what I tell them is the only answer I can tell them is, I do earn money doing this. Yeah. But it's not a thing. I don't earn most of my money doing this, Yeah. It's not like a sustainable source of income.
Could you pay rent and feed yourself with this money?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, in a context of my life, no. Yeah. Like, if I lived, I don't know, with my parents, in my parents' like basement, or I don't know, in my girlfriend's flat or something like this, if I didn't have to pay rent, and if I didn't want to live comfortably, or if I didn't think about saving money or investing in the future, or, etc., then I would say that I do earn some amount of money that is not nothing. Yeah. It's not just like some kind of pocket money here and there. I earn some amount of money, but it's not enough to make a living. Yeah. Right? And this is the current stage. And I think this is because I have a day job. I mean, I have a day job and you'd have a day job. Yep. And I think all of our current performers at our club here in Moscow have day jobs. We're talking about like English scene. I know if we talk about like the Russian comics, there is a very small percentage that is professional. They do TV and writing and whatever. Then like a smaller percentage that is basically people who do the circuit, the clubs and so on, but they still don't do anything else. So they just do comedy. Mm-hmm. And then for most people, it's like an evening job, but not the real job,
Yeah, so only a very small percentage are actually living the dream.
Yeah, and I would even argue living the dream part, because I know a few of them, I talked to a few of them. So if they can earn what is, let's say, officially an average salary in Moscow, but unofficially it's like a salary you would have in McDonald's. Yeah. So, like basically if you're flipping burgers 8 hours a day, you can earn as much as doing stand-up every night of the week. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's kind of the reality at the moment. Even though I see like year to year that market is expanding, like standard is growing, so people are ready to pay more for good entertainment. They're seeing the value in this. Mm-hmm. So that's why basically I think it's getting there. People are earning money with comedy, but for me, and I know for you as well, we have day jobs and we have to keep an additional source of income to have some stable and, I don't know, like regular income. Yeah.
Okay, so for my situation, exactly like you, I have a day job. Actually, I'm on the rung lower, because for me it is just a little bit of pocket money, and usually it's pocket money to buy 1 or 2 beers after the show, and that's it, it's gone. So it's not an income at all, I would say. It's just a little bit of like, fun money and an appreciation money, if anything, actually. That's what it feels more like, we appreciate you came. So I think the big issue is it depends, one, where you are in your development as a comedian as such, and two, the scene that you're in. And I think a big factor is the factor that we are in Moscow. We're in Russia. We're doing stand-up not in Russian, but in English. That takes a huge factor of availability, profitability, all the rest. And secondly, the fact that no one here has reached the 10-year mark yet or anything like that. Like in places like England and America, you probably won't hit your professional stride until you've been doing it for about 10 years. And at that point, that's when you start touring and you have a name that you can start bringing in a crowd with just your name. Until then, you're fighting for spots on stage in clubs for the most part. So I think, yeah, that's the main point. So
But even the let's call it, as you said, like pocket money, like appreciation fee, right? For like, you came, you prepared, you have some experience, you have some like years of comedy or stand-up behind you. I know that you have a tight 10, 15, 20-minute set. If you do this set, we will pay you. It's not going to be a substantial amount, but you'll get paid for your work. Isn't it important for you to get some payment for your work? Yeah.
It's nice. It's like I said, that's what I said. Appreciation money. We appreciate the fact that you have put in the effort and things like that. Yes, we can't give you, for example, we can't pay you 50,000 rubles for this set because we don't have 50,000 people coming in, we don't, it's just what it is. It's the situation that we're in. But on the other hand, it's easy to say, it's because we're in Moscow, and it is a big factor, and it is true. But at the same time, even for professional comedians in other countries, like I met this comedian when I was in Madrid who had been doing it he had like 2 phases of his comedy career. Like a lot of comedians did it, like became full-on professional, then took a break, and then came back to it, sort of thing. And he had been quite well known, and he performed on stage with a lot of the big names like Seinfeld and all the rest. Like they came up together and stuff. And I met him in Madrid, and he was just doing a set at this little club, or probably the only place that was really doing English comedy. And I talked to him afterwards. We were hanging out. We ended up hanging out like till late in the night. And I asked him at one point, because I'm like, he's been on television, he's been on those talk shows, doing his moments there. And I said, can you make a living of doing comedy? And he looked at me and he went, yes and no. And he went, yeah, you can make a living. You can get to the point where you're paying rent and things like that. He goes, but when I go on tour, I'm still going to Taco Bell and looking for the $1 deals. That's my dinner. It's just, and it was kind of almost sad. It was like, really, even after you've performed with all these big names, like you actually met and hung out with Bill Hicks and stuff like that. And, you obviously, when he performed, he was good. And it was just like, just that 90s feel to him. But it was just, it was just so him on stage, and his smart-ass ways of saying things. And it was very reminiscent of that sort of Bill Hicks era, those types of comedians. And I was thinking, this guy should be huge. But he was like, he walked away from comedy after the 90s because there wasn't no money. He was just like, there wasn't any money enough, and it was cutthroat and all the rest. He ended up running a club in Japan for a while, a comedy club, and over there, but that wasn't his main job even. His main job was doing some PR work for companies and things like that, or something like that. I can't remember what exactly it was. And now, the last I heard, I believe he's either in Costa Rica or Guatemala, one of those 2 places. That's where he lives now. And he does it is Guatemala. Yeah, he's living in Guatemala. And
I think this is the difference, I think, in the amount that you earn from comedy and I do, just because I organize in addition to performing. If we talk about performance, just performing, I think it would be somewhere near, and then plus the organizing and so on. And also, I went I think 4 times. I went traveling doing comedy on tours. It's of course the difference in the location as well, and the standard and how much can you charge for a ticket, because I remember first tour we did was kind of Central Europe, basically Central Eastern Europe, and for the show we did in Serbia, in Belgrade, the ticket price was €2. So that's what they charge their regular shows, and we're like, but we're coming from abroad, it's 5 people, it's in English, it's not something you have every day. And they're like, we know and we appreciate it and so on, but we just can't offer what more than we earn, we have to put this price, because if we put €4 people won't come. So we have to put €2, and then we can pay you your fee from the ticket, and it's not going to be profit. It can cover your bus or something to get here and a night in a hostel, but it's not going to be profit. So first 3 tours I did were like that. I mean, I lost money on them. Last one that we did, myself, Oleg Denisov, and Ali Weinstein, we went to Scandinavia, where standard is higher and tickets are more expensive, and you can actually price a foreign show properly. And it was commercially successful. We earned money on this tour. But it's also not something you can do every week you can go on tour.
Yeah.
It's like once in 2 or 3 months if you go to different areas, different regions,
Yeah.
or like twice a year to the same maybe when you and in this kind of ensemble, because if you come as a one person, and we had a Russian themed show, so it's interesting for people to hear from like three different people, three different perspectives, how it is to live in Russia. But if I just go as one man, 1 hour show, like I don't know how many people I can attract and what I can charge for it and so on. Like you have to have a very good hook. Oleg did a great job of organizing all those shows, and even better job of promoting all those shows, because he like got asses on those seats that were ready to pay to see that. And I think everyone was satisfied, and they asked like, when are you coming again? Blah blah. Where can we see you and so on. But it's a lot of work to get to this thing, to get to this point. And not only like that I spent money on the first few tours, but the time as well and so on. And I try to keep my day jobs flexible so I can have time for comedy because that's what I really want to do. But the question is, since we're both now, let's say, semi-professional, we get paid for our work, for our set, especially if it's some kind of showcase, bigger show, like show in a different city and so on. But it's not our main source of income. The question is, do you want to do comedy professionally?
That would be the dream. That would be like amazing. Like if I cut forward, like if someone gave me like a little magic globe, you rubbed it and you see yourself in 20 years, and there's me being a professional comedian, I'd be like, holy crap. No way. Yes. Oh, sweet.
All right. So two next questions.
Yeah.
First of all, what would you do? I mean, like when I say comedy professionally, I think making a stable, like solid income just doing stand-up is tricky. If you would also do writing, acting, producing, something like this, you might kind of from all these things, accumulate a sum that's kind of a normal salary of one banker. But so like
Ooh,
what
banker money.
So what would you be like? What would you be interested in doing, and what do you think you could do?
Look, like I said, I looked in that globe, I would be like, oh, wow. Why? Because I don't expect that to happen. I'm not expecting to get to that level. I think it's always going to be the thing on the side. I think it's always going to be my mistress in a way. Like, it's the piece on the side. The only way I can see is, because it's one of those, lucky breaks, meeting the right person, whatever. The only way that would happen would be if I happened to meet someone who gave me an opportunity.
I do remember you telling me that you did meet someone who gave you an opportunity, then you lost a business card.
Yeah, exactly. I need another one of those. So, second time's a charm. Don't mess it up this time. But that's what I mean. Exactly. It's about that moment. And what I would say is right now, where I'm at, one, my problem is the hours that I have with my current job, because it's as an English language teacher. That means that most my shifts, pretty much the bulk of my shifts, are from 5:30 to 9:30 sort of thing. And at that point, shows start at 8:30, 9:30. I finish at 9:30. By the time I actually get to the venue, it's half an hour to an hour later. It depends on the situation, right? So that needs to change, which it is actually going to change soon, because I'm getting a promotion, which means I'm not going to be a teacher anymore. Technically, I still will do some teaching, but it's not going to be my main focus. I'm going to have more of a closer to a 9 to 5, but it won't be. I still finish at 8:30 apparently. But the point is, one, you got to have the right schedule that fits in with the comedy when clubs play and things.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's the opportunities of where to play. All of that. So, how many gigs can you do per week? How much practice can you get? How much spare time do you have? The other factor is, are you married? Do you have kids? All of that. Priorities have to change, shift. And I have recently gotten married and we want to have a child. So that's going to impact, It doesn't mean I have to stop, but it means I might have to pick my moments better. That's a big thing. Like, for example, I'd love to play Edinburgh Fringe Festival. We've tried to get in, and then we didn't get in, and then COVID hit, and then God knows, because then all of last year's gigs are coming to this year's, which means obviously they're not looking for anyone for this year, really. So the next year after that, possibly. But point is, so that would be kind of like a dream for me to play Edinburgh Fringe Festival. But at the same time, I know it's sort of not a dumb dream, but it's a so what dream. Like, okay, so you played at Edinburgh Fringe. What does that mean? Actually, nothing, because you're not going to be discovered there. You can't have that in your mind. Like, I was thinking the other day, I'm like, The only way where that Edinburgh can really kind of start being like a platform, a bouncing off platform, is if you get something like nominated for newcomer. Then you get noticed. Not winning it, just being nominated will get you noticed by people. People will go, all right, what else can you do? From there, you can probably get into writing. You can get into podcasting or radio, or you can get into panel shows. You can get into other stuff. Writing jokes for other comedians, doing late night TV joke writing, writing a script, a TV show, a novel, whatever. That's where those would become then your main income. The only difference is it's in a field closer to your comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying, like, unless you get nominated going there, and I don't expect to be nominated. I honestly think, I don't think anyone in our comedy circles has got strong enough material being able to perform for 3 weeks or whatever it is to get a newcomer position. I don't think anyone's actually quite there yet.
Bit rude, David, but okay.
Yeah. But realistic. I don't think any of us are of that level yet because of the simple fact that we just aren't able to do minimum six gigs a week. You know, we can't hone it out. We can't make it a full-time job, really. We just can't afford to do that. So in a way, like, for us to get there, we probably have to wait another 10 years, and then we could go with something that's newcomer. Well, by then we're all way too old and people wouldn't realize we're newcomers. Secondly, just to go would be great. You know what I mean? Just to meet people, find out what they're doing. So yeah.
So at this point, you do believe that comedy and stand-up in particular is always going to be like a passion on the side, right? Especially if you're planning on like moving up like the career ladder, right? Yeah. Whatever, and the family and so on. And I think this is actually the reason, because people sometimes come up to me and they're being nice. You know, I'm not sure that any of them, some of them maybe mean it and so on, but they do say like, why don't you do this professionally? Like you could do this professionally or something like this. And I think from where I am now, both physically and like metaphorically, right? So physically from Moscow to do English comedy professionally is virtually impossible because I can do like 3 shows a week. I can do an open mic, test some new stuff and do like 2, let's say like featured shows, right? I can every 2-3 months go out to St. Petersburg, Ryazan, Voronezh, whatever, like somewhere perform as well. When the borders are open, maybe twice a year do like a 2-week, 3-week tour around Europe. I wouldn't like travel to the US, Australia and stuff to do like 3 gigs because I would definitely lose a lot of money. So in Europe I can make money hopefully because it's close and they're like cheap flights and whatever. So it's possible to make money, but I don't think with the current situation, like I think I would have to do like 5-6 shows a week in Moscow to earn like proper, or have these other gigs like writing or whatever, something like this. And also I don't think that I'm there yet. I'm like when I want to take that step, I want to try taking that step because I don't want to like, I don't know, by the age of 35 or something to try and take this step and then either make it or break it, but not when I'm 60 to think like, why didn't I spent like 10 years on stand-up, why didn't I ever take that step into going for it? But so many factors because it's such, and I think it's any art. It's like, I don't know, music, it's painting, it's design, it's anything. Like you get paid when you have a gig, when like someone books you or pays you to do something. It's not stable income, it's not monthly income. And if you just depend on you, like if you can be the person that travels, like you don't have a wife or a kid, you don't have like, I don't know, old and sick parents, you have like, maybe you have some family business, maybe you have some source of income where you can, you know, like cover your costs and expenses.
Mooch off them, mooch off your parents.
Not parents, maybe necessarily, maybe you like...
The family business, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe you set up an app when you were 21 and now you're like getting money from that. I don't know, like, but you know what I mean. You have to think like, what will I eat tomorrow? Then you can think about taking this step and, I don't know, spending 3 months, 6 months, 2 years gigging and just kind of losing money on it until you get exposure, until you get your perfect like 50 minutes for Netflix, until you get, you know, like just kind of push through it.
But I think that's the other difference as well, is like you were saying, you're talking about like doing this in your 20s, which is, that's just it. Like when you're in your 20s, you can maybe go a day without food. You know what I mean? Like your body you're willing to, like, you've got enough of that, testosterone or estrogen or whatever, you've got enough fuel in you that you can push through. Maybe it's alcohol or whatever, but you have that young body that can take a bit more punishment and is a bit more resilient. It can bounce back. So you can do like every so often a few days where you barely eat and you're just surviving on a bottle of Jack and Cola, whatever. So you're doing that sort of stuff, and you're sleeping you're only sleeping 4 hours a night or something, and you're running from gig to gig, you're flyering, and you're doing all sorts of things. I started doing this comedy stuff when I was 36. It was like when I kind of started, and I started kind of doing it properly when I was more like 38, like when I started doing it more regularly. At this point, at 41, almost 42 now, I'm just like, no, I want my sleep. I want a bed. Thank you very much. And flyering for like hours on end. Can I pay a kid to do that for me? Like, I don't have the energy reserves for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, but you have to, and this is the whole point, the sacrifice that there's, paying your dues, as you say. That's why I think, some people might look at someone, for example, like Ricky Gervais and go, oh, man, he just did a good TV series and then, he just went straight to stand-up and he didn't pay his dues. Well, one, crap, he actually did do some stand-up in his early days and stuff like that. But secondly, that's not to be derided. That's to be applauded. I mean, you skipped going through that crap and hell. Like, that's well done. I wish I'd done it that way too. Obviously, he had the skill. He had his life experience. And even as Ricky Gervais has said, when someone said, oh, do you wish you'd started that earlier, like, written the series earlier? And he's like, well, no, because as my partner says, she's like, you couldn't have written this in your 20s. You couldn't have written this in your early 30s. It was impossible. You didn't have the right brain, the right mentality, the right experiences. He just happened to strike when when the nail was hot or whatever.
The iron was hot?
Yes, I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, but the point is, it's about your mind. So that's why also it depends on your age. It depends on how much you're willing to go through the slogs, how much you're willing to suffer for it, and all the rest. So for me, that's why right now I'm just like, I need to have the stable income. I'm sorry, but I need that. The comedy thing, great. It's I'm a weekend warrior, sort of thing. Like I'll pop out, I'll do my bit, I'll try to get better at it. I do want to improve, and I do think I am slowly, but I'm not doing it at the speed. If, for instance, I was doing 6 shows a week.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it at that speed. I know it's a slow show. And that's what I think a lot of the comedians here, like some people are very confident in their style of comedy. But when I think about it, I'm like, no, we are probably at the point, considering how many years we've been doing it, it would be probably the level that someone who had been doing it in New York or London might be after 2, maybe 3 years. And it's taken us 6 or 7 years to get to that level. If you know what I mean. Like if we were able to, because we don't have the pressure cooker. We don't have that competition also. I mean, that's what I was really glad when, for example, when I saw Mumsy perform, right? And he's been doing it. Now, he himself doesn't say he's a full-time comedian. He even has said, he's like, I've never been that. But he's been doing it for 12 years, right? So it's probably us in 12 years in that sort of category there. But it was good to see that level because when I saw it, I was like, something to try and beat. Not in a bad way, but, it's like, oh, there's a new benchmark. Great. Now I know what I need to aim for. I need to aim for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have quality. I think you just don't see this because you see it as a small. You don't see the big picture. I mean, like I can tell you honestly, I think that, for example, if you would do a 10-minute set in Berlin or Amsterdam or London, you would do a good 10-minute, like compared to, like you wouldn't be the weakest in the lineup or something.
No.
And things like this. So, or not only like 10 minutes, okay, you're like strongest, tightest 10, but like you could do a 20-minute, 30-minute like spot, I think, easily by being good, not just like yada, whatever, just to entertain, but to be funny, to be like good, to show some good quality. And I think we have like several people, like 4 or 5, I don't know, people now who are actively performing who can like basically be equals to people on such markets where they get a chance. I don't know, Berlin, where you can jump on 2 or 3 English shows a night. Yeah. But I also think that in a way, I agree with all of the things you've said. But when I say it to myself, it sounds like excuses because like if you want, because I do really want to do comedy professionally.
Yeah.
Not just, but
Yeah.
I want to do stand-up professionally. I love doing stand-up and so on. And I love a different kind of like game shows, panel shows, quiz shows, this kind of thing. If I could get on TV, that would be amazing, but I don't kind of expect it. But writing and producing and this kind of stuff is not really my forte, because I like to be the one doing things instead of like preparing things that others will do,
Yep.
you know? But yeah, if I could get into that at some point, I mean, not in the next 3 months or 6 months, but 5 years, 7 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm doing now stand-up for 6 years, so if I could do it by the 10-year mark, that would be great. But I think, like, you know, I'm telling myself, well, if you can do 2 English shows a night in Moscow and you really want to do comedy, then what are you doing in Moscow? Go to Berlin where you can do 2 nights. Go to like London. Go to
Exactly. So I completely agree with you. And the thing is, if you want to do it, you'll do it. And that's just it. But you know, if you're in a situation like, for example, for me now, okay, I'll take the bits that I can do. The way I see it for me, it's training. It's like sparring in a gym. Like you're a boxer, you're sparring in the gym. This is sparring in the gym. This is where I'm trying to figure out what are the right techniques, this and that. This is why, like when I go to Edinburgh, I would like to know, okay, I've got a good 50-minute set. Even if I don't get nominated, but I want to know that there's maybe even an inkling that someone could look at and go, ooh, let's nominate. But even if it doesn't, it's okay. But it's the fact that I'm going to give it a really good hutch. I'm going to try to go in with the best stuff that I have and to show, because like you said, I think we can. I think we have got the level that we could go to London and perform on a stage and people would go, yeah, that was good. That was good. Like hold our own against other London comics who've been doing it for 3 or 4 years. I think we could do it. But I'm just saying that it generally was probably going to take a little bit longer because of just the lack of timing. It's not an excuse. I'm not saying, oh, we can't make it. No, you can. But at some point, like you said, at some point, you need to either go to Germany or you need to go to a place. Like there is some point where you got to go, there's enough sparring, you're going to have to leave Moscow. At some point, you're going to have to find, marry an English girl, get yourself that visa, Igor, and you're going to have to go to London and start doing it.
I'm writing this down. Can you list the things I have to do again?
Yeah, marry a British girl.
Okay.
So that means Northern Irish, Scottish, Welsh, or English. All right, so you got 4 options there. And but you need to somehow get your ass over there and spend some time, not just as a tour, like, right now we could probably do, like you said, like the Moscow show, you could probably, like the Russian show, you could do that in England. I'm sure they'd be fascinated as well, not just Eastern Europeans. I'm sure the English would be like, wait, 3 or 4 or 5 people, even if we extended the show, like, 5 comedians are coming who are from Russia, like they live in Russia. A couple of them actually Russian, the rest of them expats who live in Russia, and they're going to make, I'm curious, like this will be interesting to see, what do they joke about? What is that? And yeah, there might be a little bit more, like for example, if I was going to do my food bit or whatever, I would probably need slides to show the food, what it looks like, so people can, quick reference. But otherwise, adaptable, doable, and people would be fascinated. We could do a proper show, and I think we could charge money. I think it's actually something we could look into, to do it in England. But that's a tour. That's a once-off. That's like a quick money. It's just to rake in some cash, get some pounds, and that's it. But it's not something that's going to leave our name lingering on their lips and ears and something that they will, then follow us on for years to come, so that when we return triumphant. They'll be like, you have returned, our gods of comedy from Russia have returned. No.
I think here what is the difference between us, all of us, not just me and you, but the other residents of our and regulars of our club here, and in many places that I've been to where they have a similar situation, like expats and non-natives doing comedy in English or in any other foreign language. And I think it's harder than when you do it in the language of the country.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you're doing stand-up in Russian in Russia, you, first of all, in a 16 million people city like Moscow, your potential target audience is 16 million people.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, we have to have people who have money, people who want to see. But in terms of who can understand you, it's 16 million people. In terms of who can understand you in English, it's, let's say, 300,000 people, for example. Yeah. And then you have to go through the filters. Who is older than 18 can go to a bar, who has money to pay for the ticket, who is actually interested in comedy, who actually blah blah, and then you come to like a very narrow like target audience.
And then how do you make them hear about this little room in a basement where people do comedy? How do you reach them and let them know we are here? we are here to entertain you. Please come.
Yeah, and that's why it will always have limitations, especially compared to Russian comedy in Russia or English comedy in London or New York or something. But I think that's why you don't do it. Like I wouldn't build an English-speaking career in Moscow. Like I'm using this as the sparring thing, as you said, like as practice and so on, because I am right now here, and that's where I started, that's where I discovered English stand-up and so on. But I think the biggest reason why our people here and many people I met around like Europe and stuff, while they're still semi-professional, is because at some point I think you have to just get rid of that safety net.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, if it's a job like that provides you with stable income that you want to count on and so on.
Yeah.
If it's a wife you have to divorce. No, I mean, but at some point, even if you, because there are comedians, professional comedians, stand-up comedians who do have families.
Yeah.
But they have this agreement that, okay, I'll be gone 3 months a year touring.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's my job. Same as if I was like a truck driver or something, I would be away.
Yeah, it was a traveling salesman. But I think a lot of times when comedians have families, they were comedians before they ever got the families. Like they were already on their way up. So it was like, I mean, they're the ones who have made it, who now have families. I think most of them, they weren't struggling, running around things with an actual family in tow. I think that's a bit of a difference there. I'm sure there are some who have done it that way. And oh my God, like that must have been difficult. And poor spouses, whether it was a man or a woman, whoever, who had to like sit there and watch their partner. And probably they were the ones providing, you know what I mean? The partner paying the money. But it's difficult. I mean, with everything, there's pros and cons, of course. Like we were saying before, here, hey, we've got sparring time, and the thing is, for us, we don't have the competition, for example, in New York, where you've got to sign up, you've got to bring 5 friends with you in order to perform on stage for 5 minutes. We generally have, like, you should be able to perform once a week easily. There's always a spot here. Like, we don't have that saturation of comics, which is a good thing. In that way, I'm sure the New York and London people are very jealous in that regard. They'd be like, wow, he goes, oh yeah, and we get 10-minute spots. And how many people do you have to bring? None. It's not our responsibility. We just get up on stage and do it. It's like, you guys get 10 minutes. Oh, and the other day I did 15. Actually, no, wrong, 20. I did go over a little bit. But the hosts were a little bit annoyed, but not completely annoyed. Oh, well, that's like, wait, you didn't get shot on the spot for going over by 20 seconds? No, we didn't. You know what I mean? Like, we have that awesome situation. The thing is, we don't have the opportunity to possibly do it 6 times a week, every week of the year. Okay, pros and cons.
Yeah, but then I think if you really, because there are these kind of, there is like one way of doing it, which is at some point cutting out that safety net and going for it. And that story is like, I don't know, Ed Sheeran, who used to play on the streets, but then he like bought a ticket to States and slept on Jamie Foxx's couch and stuff like this. Or I don't know, Sylvester Stallone, who like sold his dog and starred in a porno or whatever to earn some money, to get like casting and to get proper clothing, and then he bought his dog back. Like this kind of
beautiful story, by the way.
Yeah, but stories when people are like, this is what I want, this is my dream, this is my life, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And then just go for it. If you have to like a month sleep in, I don't know, basement of a relative of a cousin who said, okay, you can stay here for a month. Like, just go for it. Second thing is using some kind of like cheat code. Like it's not a cheat code, but I don't know, just preparing your best 15 and then going for some talent show or something where you can skyrocket into fame, let's call it, like at least temporary fame.
But if you have those, like the type 15, you should then also have another really good 50 minutes in backup reserve, because if you take off, you don't want to have nothing extra left over. It's like, for example, Oasis. When they got their record deal, Noel was talking to the people that he gave his songs, and they asked him, what was it? He's like, do you think, they liked it? Can you come up with more? Now, the thing is, he already had a back catalogue of a whole bunch of other songs. He played it cool, like, I can come up with something. And he's like, I've got to stack up in reserve. Why? Because he was ready. He's like, when this first album comes out, there's going to be another one already ready. We've pretty much got all the songs that we need. He'd written a lot of the songs already before they were ready to go. Why? Because it's good to have that backup. Once you get that momentum rolling, you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, no,
that's
of course.
A big factor.
When you go for such a thing, then you go again like ready and you go all out.
Yeah.
Right. So you go all in and all out at the same time.
Yep.
So and that's why I think like I would really like to do this at some point, and I'm not sure, because I think for most people that don't do this step, that's in any kind of profession or hobby or whatever you want to call it, that people stay like at a semi-professional level, sometimes it's just because they maybe don't have the skill or talent or something else that they need to make that step. But I think in majority of situations is that they don't, something is like anchoring them, like some responsibility, you know, like if I know that I have to, I don't know, pay mortgage or something, if I have to be in Moscow for some medical reason, for personal reason, I don't know, then of course I can't dream of, you know, touring England or whatever, like, you know. So I think for a lot of people, they have this anchor that's holding them back, and sadly they can maybe not release that anchor.
Yeah, because maybe it's a very important anchor. I mean, one thing I'd like to make clear is, you know, it's good to say, well, just release your anchor and move forward. But if your anchor that's holding you back is a sick mother, you know,
of course,
who you have to pay medical bills for, you can say, sorry, Mum, you're just going to have to die because I have got my comedy career.
Yeah, I'm touring next week, so someone else should, you know, like pay for your hospital bills and, you know, like bring you food, but you'll figure it out.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave my management job that's paying actually really good money.
I left some jokes here, just, you know, so can you read like those and have some laughs? I'll be off doing my comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like, you know.
Yeah, obviously. And I think that's like the make it or break it thing, I would say. And how do you turn a hobby or passion or a semi-profession into a profession? I think it's just going for it. And then if you go for it and you fail, well, fuck it, you failed. Then go back to the thing you were doing, or hopefully you have a plan B, because some people get into kind of any entertainment industry like early without, I don't know, going to like Justin Bieber or something, like got picked up on YouTube and got a deal and so on. But what if it didn't work out for him? Like he didn't go to, well, maybe now he did or something, but like, you know, you don't have like a master's degree to fall back on. You don't have like 10 years of experience in corporate to fall back on and so on. Like then you're screwed. But if you can somehow like do this sparring as we do here while doing something else to get that experience and at least like CV and something to get that safety net to stay there permanently, that you don't have to cut out, then I think you can take the step, go for it, see what happens, and you either make it or break it. If you make it, great, you're living the dream, you're doing what you always wanted to do. If you break it, fall back on what you have, and at least you know you went for it. Yeah,
I think to sum up, it's sort of like the sparring is good, like you said, we've got that. Now, the part where I agree, but you know, you don't have to. It depends on your situation, like those responsibilities were saying, like sick mother or whatever, or you're married and you love your person, you don't want to divorce them, you know, then you might actually have to, maybe you don't go for it. But at the same time, if you don't go for it, it doesn't mean you have to give up comedy. It doesn't mean you failed either. It's your choice. As long as it's your choice. You want to go for it, you really want to make it big, then absolutely 100% go for it. But if you don't, it doesn't mean you fail. It's like learning guitar. You don't learn the guitar and say, well, it's a complete waste unless I end up in, you know, a major rock band, international rock band. No, you should be happy just playing it. If you don't actually like playing guitar, you don't like strumming it on your own in your living room, then what the hell are you doing? Like, then why? No, you're obsessed with fame. That's what your goal is fame. In which case, then, you know, do porn, do YouTube videos, do TikTok, do whatever the hell that gets you out there. You know what I mean? Like, in that case, if your obsession is just fame and being recognized, then open an OnlyFans page. You know, just
if the goal, well, I mean, my kind of dream and goal would be to turn comedy into a profession. Yeah. But so I can do what I love doing. I can earn money doing what I love doing. But it doesn't mean that if it doesn't work out, I will just stop doing comedy. Exactly. I don't do comedy to earn money. Yeah. I would earn money doing comedy, but I don't do this for money. I do this because I really enjoy it. It's like a passion. It's a hobby. It's a, you know, it's a thing that I think is a part of me. Like I think I'm a comedian, right? But so if you don't learn how to play the guitar to do like Glastonbury or Coachella. Yeah. You can also play the guitar. You can also be the guy who comes to a house party, takes out the guitar and plays Wonderwall, the one that everyone hates. You know, you can be that guy. Why not? It's also an option. So
just Pixies. Where is my mind? Just go with that. Just why Wonderwall?
Yeah. Well, basically, I think that's a good conclusion of the topic. It's whatever you can make it, whatever works for you, and on whichever level you can make it work. To have the balance of like responsibility and like the dream. And if it's possible to turn it into like the dream to make a living
take the
out
risks
of it.
if you can.
Yeah.
If you can, take the risks. Don't hold back. Like you made a joke about my card. Yeah, I lost the card. I missed that chance.
Maybe you'll get another card. Who knows? Many people have business cards. You don't know. Maybe you'll get tomorrow. Maybe someone's going to listen to this pod. No. Maybe someone is going to. Yeah, many important people have business cards. And maybe someone is going to listen to this podcast and be like, these people, I need them on my radio show. and that's it. We made it.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. If you do have any job offers or any questions or anything, you can always contact us in the comments or on our email, thecomedykiosk@gmail.com.
Yeah. The Comedy Kiosk is one word, all lowercase, @gmail.com.
And thank you for listening. I'm Igor Mondae.
And I'm David Munoz.
And we will be with you on the next topic and the next episode of The Comedy Kiosk. Goodbye.